What's up? It's Matt.
And Willow.
And we're watching 86 episode 20 Together Unto Death.
Uh-oh.
That's a title.
That is quite a title. I don't love that.
Where are we at right now?
Okay, so Squat, we found the Morpho. Psych, different Morpho. He was up on the cliff, and it was really scary. He was like a little beetle man.
Yeah.
And by little, I mean huge. And then Shin was like going all after him, but then they had to like friendly fire to snap Shin out of his bloodlust. And they was doing a lot of, they had a lot of parallels between him and Kiri, who was talking to the other legions.
Yeah.
They had like names.
Pale Rider. I heard he's dropping a mixtape.
Right, you brought me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now they're at somewhere. They're bunking out somewhere.
Yeah, it's like just the 86 squad is going ahead to try to get them more.
Yeah.
And they're like resting.
But Frederica.
I'm so worried now that she's here, but I feel like she's got to talk to Kiri probably.
But Shin's trying to send her back. So
that's true. Are her and Raidan gonna go back?
That's what the streets are saying.
That's what Shin's saying.
He's on the streets.
That's true. That's true. Well,
what does son of a gun even mean? Because I just said it.
Son of a gun?
Yeah.
It's like an old thing. Yeah, you're like a bastard. You're a little scoundrel.
But
you
why
son
is
of a
son
gun?
Of a gun?
Maybe like a gun's like an outlaw, you know, because they have guns.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Just cooked.
I might have just cooked. We'll see.
Because I know son of a bitch.
Guggle. Yeah, that's what you
call him. You know.
Yeah.
It's self-explanatory.
You're throwing a back.
Son of a gun doesn't make any sense. But now it might.
I feel like son of a gun's like son of a scoundrel. You know, like
right.
a 6-shooting kind of an outlaw dude.
Let's get into the episode.
Okay.
I feel like. Oh, sugar.
That wasn't ideal. Okay. Oh, that's like what they're doing on purpose. Okay.
Interesting.
Huh. That's interesting. Huh.
Well, let's hope it works.
I hope so.
Is this a train station? They're on the train.
I think so.
お前フレデリカ連れて戻れ。なんでじゃねえよ。レギオンどもがうじゃうじゃいる中を見つからねえで戻るんだ。
交戦なんてしていたらすぐに全滅するのは前にこの支配域を通った経験で分かってるだろ。
今のお前に引っ張られてくようかいくらかマシだ。
お
前が頭おかしいのは昔からだが。それでごまかせてるつもりか、このバカ。
ごまかしてる。
Raidan's really calling him out right now.
Yeah. No, this is good. I feel like he needs this.
Yeah.
誰にも心を許さない。異名通りの首のない死神みてえによ。
足手まといを連れて行くくらいなら一人で追った方がいい。
Damn.
You don't gotta be going there, shit.
もし帰れなくなるなら俺一人で十分だ。
そうやっててめえ一人犠牲になれ済むなんて考えてんじゃねえぞ。
別に死ぬつもりは。
I mean, yeah, it kind of is though.
Yeah.
生きて帰ってくるつもりもなかったろうが。だろ。飽き違えてんじゃねえよ。
Damn.
俺は死にたくねえ。それだけだ。それで十分だと思ってる。しんどいって言うなら支えてやる。きついって言うなら休んでろ。
That's a very cool visual. Their shadows, because he said we're all going the same way.
なんか僕だけ阻害されてるっていうか、微妙に同じ男。
Oh my god.
私たちと会う前にもいろいろあったみたいだし。
Oh.
Oh yeah, they were in the squad before.
喧嘩に吹っ飛んでったクレナちゃんが悪いんだから。
犬の言うじゃったの。
っていうかクレナがこういう時に突っ込んでっても話がややこしくなるだけだから。
シンは大丈夫だよ。私たちを置いていったりしないよ。
クレ
I
ナは
think you're a
もうちょ
little
っとさ、向き合って
blind
み
to
た方が
that.
いいと思う
Yeah.
よ。いつまでも追いかけてるだけじゃなくて
Yeah.
さ、シンだっていつまでも僕たちのための死神じゃないんだよ。
それってつまり私たちがいるだけじゃ足りないってこと？
僕たちは所詮僕たちが死ぬまで一緒にいてとしか言えてないからね。
I never really thought about the aspect of how they treat him in the relationship
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if I like fully agree to some extent, but they have the whole time kind of been like, he will lead us through and we'll survive. And then like, what happens after that?
Yeah.
And it's interesting that they were all kind of going in different directions when they were living in the Federacy. I never fully thought about that, but they weren't like all doing the same job or all hanging out as like a family. I mean, they were because they were living together, but
Yeah.
interesting.
But it's also like using it like it's okay if they die because Shin's still alive. But it's if Shin dies, it's not okay.
Yeah.
もしかしてシンにバレて
I
た
feel
り
like
す
he
る？
knows.
Yeah.
とうに感づいてはおるが、子供の憧れや独占欲の類とみなされておる感じじゃの。
Okay.
Girl, how do you know?
それも手のかかる面倒な妹という認識のようじゃ。
I think she might be right, but it's
Destroyed.
crazy. The little, coming out of the little 12-year-old or whatever.
まあほら頼れる存在ではあるよ。
私狙撃得意だしね。きっと役に立ってるよね。
Fido will talk sense into him.
Yeah.
そろそろ起床時刻だ。
It's got to be the least comfortable bed I've ever seen.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
それに越したことはない。万が一にもレギオンに取り込まれたのではかなわん。とっとと回収してやらんと。
Damn. That's... He's like who I wouldn't have trusted when we first met Ernst, and I was worried if we had met that guy, I would have
Yeah.
been...
こちとらいつでも行けます。輸送機の手配だって、あれから参謀長閣下に無理やりねじ込んでらして。
あら、軍曹だって後方に下がればって言ったのに聞かなかったじゃない。
What are we doing here?
まずい。
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, where's Duck?
ちょっと無理っぽいかな。
Are they doing a little
全然
experimenting?
動かないや。
I don't know.
パージするよ。
This bug keeps getting eaten.
I know.
I don't know what the symbolism is there, but I'm sure there's something.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Dang, they're in a nice
Yeah,
spot.
I know. I feel like I was feeling like the show was being a little slow with all of the military setup, but I really like when it takes its time for stuff like this.
Yeah.
きっと楽しから海か。確かに行ってみたいかも。
Oh, don't talk about your hopes and dreams, guys. Oh God.
白い砂浜のさ。
旅行のパンフで見たことあってね。
Oh.
Shin didn't say nothing about the ocean.
Oh.
明日起こすまで待機状態に切り替えておけと命じたろ。
Fido's keeping an eye on him.
わかった。どうした？
今日そなたらのことが少し分かった気がした。景色をずっと見ておった。実に美しかった。そなたらが人類の存亡にも自らの生き死にさえにもひどく突き放した見方をしておる理
It's an
由。
interesting take.
Yeah.
あの美しさもこの地に住む人間がおらんからじゃ。
Mm.
そんな光景が
あいつらは亡霊だ。亡霊は本来何も望まないものだ。
なぜわかる？
俺も同じだから。
Oh.
おかしいっていうのは少しわかった。
でも楽しかったであろう。去年の秋は86個を出た時じゃ。何もかも自ら決めて進んだ。 初めて手にした自由じゃったんじゃろ。
死ぬはずだった俺には未来なんて長すぎて。
Damn.
That's a crazy line.
I know, that is a crazy line.
俺はお前の騎士じゃない。それは分かっていたのに。悪かったな。当面代わりになる目的を持ちたかったんだと思う。
それだけではないと思うがの。そなたは少し鏡の見方が間違っておることも自覚すべきじゃ。その嘆きを見続ける定めから解放されたかった。じゃがわらわはキリを打たれるのは怖い。失うのは恐ろしい。生きているだけで騒乱の火種となる厄災の子じゃ。いない方が誰のためにも良い。
Damn.
それでもいつか我が騎士を討ち取ってやるため、その言い訳ものうなってしまう。それが怖い。
That's really
そなた
interesting.
が今
Yeah.
進むことにおののいておるのは、そなたが正しく先を見据えようとしたからじゃ。
俺をそう呼ぶあいつらもいつか必ず先に行ってしまう。俺を置いて。
That's interesting that that kind of echoes what Theo was saying too.
Yeah.
Oh. I guess the
The
bug could
dead-
kind of be like, wait, what?
The dead bug moved on. You think about that?
Well, like, yeah, the dead bug moved on, and also like all the other little ants were eating him and kind of using him until they
Oh,
no
yeah, I
longer
think you're
needed him.
spot on.
Yeah. Oh. Uh oh. He's definitely Power Rider because he's not talking right now. Oh boy. Oh boy, this is quite a shot to just be on for a while.
Yeah.
Yikes.
There we go.
Oh my lord.
That was a banger episode. in
That
my
was a
opinion.
banger. That was one of my favorite ones in quite a few.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I got to think about it some more. But I agree with what you said earlier that for some reason, like slow episodes like this, I really love, and I feel like I like that it takes its time with things. But there's some in the middle that, like, we
Yeah.
can speed this along.
Well,
And that was my whole thing I was talking about before at the start of the show and earlier is like that point between when they reach the Federacy and 19 after 20 I'm
Yeah.
perfectly fine, but it's like maybe episodes 14 to 19, like I feel like you could add like one less episode in there.
I agree, and I think that like I think a couple times when we've been watching the show, I've made a comparison to Free Run, which we watched not that long ago on the channel,
Mhm.
and like obviously the tone's very different, the story's very different, but like those are both. That's another show that really takes its time with the characters and just lets them kind of like
Yeah.
exist in these like pretty quiet moments. And some of my favorite episodes of 86 have been like the episode before shit hit the fan and they got to the Federacy when they were free and
Yeah.
they were wanted, or like some of these honestly even some of the slow episodes with Lena at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
just like the sort of like character moments and seeing them really sort of like sit with their feelings amidst the world is really interesting.
Yeah, they also showed like in these episodes where they're traveling, they're obviously showing like the scenery, but with like Lena, they showed more of like the symbolism within the city and how like people were treated and what like the nice city versus the 86 and whatnot.
Yeah, and I almost feel like in a couple of the episodes like 14 to 19, like there's like a lot happening, but it feels like it's all set up for the next episode, whereas this episode doesn't. Like, I guess it is set up for the final confrontation, but it feels like this felt like a really necessary character episode for Shin that we had to and the whole squad, honestly. Like, we've been
Yeah.
focusing a lot on Shin. We haven't gotten as much from like Theo and Anju and Krenna for like as much, and I
Yeah.
feel like it really brought everybody back and all of them as a squad back in this episode, like to kind of the forefront, which I liked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I don't know, I was loving this one. I liked all the dynamics. I liked the kind of I liked hearing all of the rest of the squad's feelings about Shin and sort of like how to approach it and kind of how they've been treating him, like you were saying, and like his conversation with Raidan was so good.
Yeah.
And I felt like this Frederica conversation was also really good. and like was able to hit at some things that like her having more of the freak out conversation when he was in the room didn't. Like, not that that wasn't a good scene also, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was very different tone, different like content. I don't know. Well, kind of the same in a sense, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like interesting the difference between Frederica's conversation too and Raiden's conversation, and like Raiden was very worked up about it, and it like I feel like can't really understand exactly how Shin's feeling, but is like still trying everything. Whereas like Frederica's was like more calm and like was more about connecting with Shin, of like
I
having
agree.
the same sort of experiences, like obviously not 1-to-1, but like the same thing of feeling like there's no purpose in what they're doing and they'd be potentially better off dead or whatever.
Yeah. That was really, I wasn't fully, Frederica's kind of hinted at that a few times, and I feel like a couple of times in the past when I've been like, I don't know how I feel about Frederica, I don't know about her place.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way at all anymore. Like this episode, she was perfect.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect fully like the 1-to-1 of like, again, not perfect, but her being like, I feel like the world has also left me behind and I'm clinging onto this thing.
Yeah.
Just like you were. And even though Raiden and Shin have been through so much together, like you were saying, Raiden can't like, he's not the Reaper.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, I have felt like, I was even going to say earlier in the episode that like the first Frederica conversation, I was like, oh, I like the Raiden conversation because he's kind of talking to someone who he might take a little more seriously.
Yeah.
Like, because Frederica was basically like a kid being like, don't go die. I don't want you to. And there was more to it, but like, it can kind of, there's like reasons why Shin could play that off. Whereas like with Raiden, I feel like he was able to get further than Frederica did the first time, but then Frederica was able to kind of use that and approach it from an even different angle and kind of go back in. I don't know. It's just there's so many layers to it.
I also felt like Shin's mentality was painted the best in this episode. Like I feel like it's hard to understand sometimes where his head's at and like what his thought process is on everything, but I feel like this episode really like lets you understand where Shin's coming from.
Yes.
And like what he's actually feeling and thinking about a lot more than what we've seen, which I think is intentional, but I think this
we've been building up to it, but
this episode just does a good job of allowing the viewer to actually like, I feel like, get it a little bit more.
Yeah, he says it more like up front, but also you get some more like you get the perspectives of his friends and more of a quiet moment, which I really like. And like, I don't know, I also just feel like, just like with everything in this show, like all of the characters are so fleshed out and feel so real, and like Shin having this like, well, it's not like I want to die, but I just like, what am I, if I'm not the Reaper and I'm not fighting to make sure no one gets taken by the Legion and I'm not fighting to get my brother, like what am I doing, like who even am I? It's more of like an identity crisis thing in some ways.
I think that's relatable to a lot of people too, like not at the same extremes like you're going to the battlefield, but like if you don't have a reason to get up in the morning necessarily, like you might not feel like you're living, which is what he basically said.
And like,
and that's when you start to question like, oh, am I alive, or like am I better off not being alive or whatever. Like I feel like that
depression basically, like he's going through depression. But like
but there's a lot more nuance to it,
and there's obviously all of the other shit that he's faced and been through, and it's an extreme in a lot of ways, but I think at its core, like you said, relatable, which is cool. He's just such an interesting character. I love this whole squad. I now I'm like please don't die, please go to the beach. Like oh my god.
Do you still think most of them are going down?
I feel like they are, but I don't know. Like maybe the point is that they all live and Shin learns to live. Like maybe.
Also, they just bring Frederica now. She on the team?
I guess, yeah. We threw that back. I guess they sort of like peppered it in the last episode. They were like, well, someone really strong needs to take her back because it's super dangerous. So I guess it kind of makes sense that like no one except Shin can do it. So it's like, well, fuck, she came, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Also, is she just? Oh no, I guess she was in the walker with Shin because she was looking. I was like, is she just riding in like the windowless Fido?
No, it showed her sitting like on Shin's
Yeah,
lap. Or,
she
I
better
think
not
it was
be
Shin.
in
It could have been
combat.
someone else, I guess. But
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, I'm stressed about next episode, but that's kind of been the theme. Every time I watch one of these, I get stressed.
yeah.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to? It was
Not
pretty
really.
focused, like on the same. There was like a couple little conversations with the general guys and stuff, which were interesting, but like not.
Yeah. I
don't
feel like
care
it's
as much
kind of
about that.
like past the point of, other than like Greth and the one guy's short conversation. I don't know his name at all, the gray-haired guy.
Yeah.
But like them choosing to stay and
Yeah,
be
that
there
was
to
that was
support.
nice.
Like, but I feel like the relevance of a lot of their conversations don't really matter anymore because they're out there already.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess the other dudes were there to explain the diversion that they're
Yeah.
planning to do.
I guess
but-
that's true. Is they were given the plot. I think yeah, maybe part of like the build up with them too is like, and we don't have to spend too much more time on it, but like I get the Confederacy and I get that there's a lot of nuance between each person and how they view the 86 and how they view the conflict, but like I think Ernst is a baller.
yeah.
Frederica is obviously a pretty important character, but like, and like I think Greth is really good.
Yeah, she's been important.
But like, I don't really care about anyone else in the army. I guess the one guy who died, like the friend.
oh yeah, Eugene. But like out of the general people,
Yeah, but like when they're all in the room trying to work shit out, I don't really like. I do care, but I'm like it's not that the show's bad and I don't care, but I'm just like I want to see what Shin's going.
No,
through.
but
I
it's
want
the
to see
type
the
of
squad.
thing we've seen it one too many times. Maybe.
Yes, yes. I think that they spent a little too much time on it with characters like that they didn't build up. Like if it was still like Lena and Lena's uncle who's probably super
Jerome.
fucking dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we built up those characters and it was more of a dual story, and so like I cared a lot about both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like these characters feel more there to fill in the plot so that the 86 can do.
I
do
think
stuff sometimes
that's the because the light novels go past this season, and they might still do another season in the future, but there's not.
Yeah,
I mean, I've heard. I think it wasn't real though. Talks about they're making season 2, but I don't
that'd
think
be
that was.
cool.
I don't think that the one that I saw was real, but not saying they would never do it.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's the type of thing where those characters probably
become
are
more
still in
important
the
there.
story because they're not dying on the battlefield.
Yeah,
they're
and they
still
also
there.
might be developed more in the like I don't know, and maybe I'm missing some of the nuance of some of them too, but like I know there was a commenter on it was a few episodes back because we record these like a couple episodes ahead,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry I don't remember her name because I'm bad with names of anyone, including commenters, but we're recommending the light novels for
Yeah,
like saying that like they go into a lot more detail and nuance, but also that they continue in like some of the things that maybe we have pointed out do exactly what you're saying.
But like my point is though, if they knew this was gonna be one season no matter what, and this was gonna be the end, like I feel like maybe they would have cut some of that off because those characters aren't relevant. Because they don't know for sure, and there is more story, so like they have to include it.
That makes sense.
So yeah, that like I don't.
Yeah,
I think that's like difficult to navigate from if I'm thinking about like the creator of the anime's perspective, like whoever was directing it or planning
when they were
it or
making
whatever.
it, what were they setting up? And what were they doing?
What do you include and what do you like?
Yeah,
like not knowing that there'll be more seasons or anything.
And also with a show like this, like none of my critiques are like, oh god, those episodes sucked. Like,
no,
like, watch our reviews and you'll see that we didn't think they sucked. Like, you
that's
know
like the show goes from like a 10 out of 10 to like a 9.
Yeah, that's we're talking
like...
about like an A+ to an A or like an A to an A minus. You know, so really really enjoying the show, and we only have 3 left.
Yeah, 3 left.
Ah!
Do you think next episode's getting right into the action?
I feel like we're morphoing hard.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things. Like I feel like Alana's alive. I don't know if that's a last episode thing or a second to last episode thing. I don't know if she's gonna pop in and help us with the morpho. Who knows? I have no idea. I hope the squad doesn't die. I hope Lena's alive, and I hope
the last 3
everyone
are the
lives.
big 3. That's what they say.
The big 3. Well, I'm hyped for the big 3.
Yeah.
And I hope you are too.
Do you think it's gonna be the big 3 or just the big me, Shin?
You kind of wanted it to be the big him.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't do it without your friends.
We'll find out next time.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.